Good evening, folks. It is Thursday night. It is 8 p.m. Eastern. It is time for your Big Gold Belt Wrestling podcast, and we got stuff to talk about this week. We got to talk about Night of Champions. We had kings and queens crowned in Saudi Arabia and a bunch of title matches, so we'll break down everything Night of Champions. We had Dynamite 300 from AEW as they're on the road to Texas and All In. So lots going on there. Rumors swirling around Britt Baker, and we talked about it last week. We're going to talk about it again. The casting of Street Fighter. Oh, yes, folks. There is lots to get into. Stay with us. Your Big Old Belt Wrestling podcast starts right now.
Big Old Belt, 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 Big Old Belt. All I really want is that Big Old Belt, 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 Big Old Belt. All I really need that Big Old Belt.
Hello, everyone. We are so glad you are here with us on the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast, Season 5, Episode 22 tonight as we head into Independence Day weekend here in the States. It's July 3rd tonight. Hope you all are doing well as we are in the thick of summer. I am Will on the left side of your screen. To my right is the giant crab Jamal. We are going to hold things down for here tonight, talking the weekend wrestling and all that good stuff. Giant crab, how are you doing this week?
Good. The weather's been better. 4th is going to look great. Happy Canada Day. On July 1st, a couple of days ago. So yeah, things are shaping up this summer.
There you go. We are definitely in the thick of summer now, and thankfully it is not the heat wave we had in the DC area about a week ago. We have a bit of a reprieve. It's still warm, but not quite as bad as it was. So let's get right to it tonight. Hope everyone's out there having a good time and getting ready for their weekend if you're in the States with us. So last weekend in Saudi Arabia, we had Night of Champions from WWE. We covered that show last week, where our thoughts on it were. And I think my overriding theme going into this now a week later is, okay, they kind of, no real surprises. And it kind of went overall how we talked about last week. We were kind of like, okay, this is probably what's going to happen with the crowns. This is who's going to be king. This is who's going to be queen. We're pretty sure what's going to happen with Cena and Punk. So nothing that I would describe as crazy, like shocking. Maybe not necessarily paint by numbers, but a fine afternoon show. Lord knows we talk about these afternoon shows and how that always helps. I think that does help in this case. It was a fine afternoon show, 3 hours long. Let's start with the crowns. Let's start with the king and queen stuff. Pretty much what we expected last week. We talked about it's probably going to be Cody because, all right, we got the title matches are tied in now. And that was something that really hit me last week. I was like, it's king and queen of the ring. But now that like the SummerSlam title matches are involved, it's kind of changed the entire dynamic of what those crowns mean. Because it used to be, oh, we're elevating someone up. This is kind of like your next up, someone we're trying to make something of. Now it's like, nah, this is your SummerSlam main eventer. So like name people who are already made. Hell, people who've already been champion are getting the crown because it's the ticket to SummerSlam now. So Cody wins the king crown to take on, he's already made clear he's gunning for John Cena. He wants that WrestleMania rematch. And on the ladies' side, we have Jade Cargill winning the queen's crown, which we very much expected against Asuka. So Cody and Jade, king and queen, I think all of us pretty much called it as that last week. But now that we're here, I don't know, is it, should they have gone a different direction, Crab, or I don't know. It was Orton and Asuka on the other side. So it's kind of like, eh.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much what we said last week. It's not that they can go in a different direction, especially if they want to set up SummerSlam in the way that they really want to set it up. We kind of saw the leanings, and it wasn't particularly subtle. So this is what I was saying, have been saying over the past couple of weeks. They're just going from moment to moment to moment instead of these fully fleshed out programs that they used to have. It's just like, all right, well, we'll get them a Night of Champions. We'll give the Saudis what they want, and we'll give them a meaningful show. And it is a meaningful show. Like, it sets up SummerSlam, So this is one of those moments that you can look back on and say, this is how we got here. But it's also not necessarily the most meaningful because it's like, well, you could have done this on Raw and it would have still had the same impact because we know that we're going to go from this place to SummerSlam. This is just the mechanism, the MacGuffin that gets us there. Okay, fine. And I have no problem with that. It is what it is. But I don't see how they could go in a different direction and still come with the same result unless they do a thing for shock value and then retcon it on SmackDown and Raw over the next couple weeks. So, which is a thing that they like to do also. But yeah, no, I mean, they have their box of crayons. They're coloring inside the lines. Nothing too crazy. Pretty much what we expected.
Yeah, predictable in the sense that, it's what the roadmap to SummerSlam seems pretty clear as far as the big matches go. So it is what it is. I think the big question now becomes, well, let's talk about the main event first. Let's get the main event out of the way because Cena and Punk was the other big match. We can get into the rest of the card after that. But Cena and Punk is the other part of the equation that really ties into SummerSlam. And we've been talking a lot about how, this John Cena title run he's kind of scraping by. He's hobbling by. The man's, clearly not quite what he used to be. It's his retirement tour. He's doing the greatest hits and all that stuff. And then lo and behold, Cena and Punk happens. They go 26 minutes in Saudi Arabia. And, well, here's the thing. And up until the end, and it's the formula now. We're like, okay, at the end, there's going to be a bunch of run-ins. That's what's happening these days. You got Seth Rollins. You got his whole crew. There's going to be a bunch of run-ins at the end. But they went a good, 20 before that, where it was just them. And they were doing a match. And maybe it was a little, Cena slow motion at times. But for me, I was kind of like, this is probably the best I've seen John Cena look on this return run, where it was like, okay, he's like, maybe it was Punk kind of guiding him as far as, okay, I can match up my speed with him, both them being a little older, a little banged up, and kind of they made it work. But compared to the R-Truth matches, which only went 5 minutes, the Orton match, which I don't know, the Orton match never felt like it got out of second gear for me, which a lot of people would say that about Randy Orton in general, but I don't know. The Punk match, it worked better for me. So I was kind of I was very pleasantly surprised. But that said, I also went into that match with my expectations pretty low. Because I was just kind of okay, we've seen how this Cena run is going. And for me, I was like, I'll be okay. For Cena, it's maybe that ring rust is coming off. Because him and Punk I thought it was good. I thought it was good for what it was. Cena retains, no surprise there. The Seth Rollins and CM Punk drama continues. And we're on the road to the WrestleMania rematch at SummerSlam.
Right.
Where we're at right now.
Right.
So,
but that's kind of what it is. And that's it's hard to it's hard to really expound upon it because this is exactly what we thought should have happened. This is exactly, kind of the way that they were going with it. And even with these Saudi shows, last week we said, well, why are they even having it, especially given things that are going on? I really think if there were no penalty for saying so, if they could pull out of the deal, I think they would. A
lot of money involved.
No, I'm saying
money
if they could pull out of the deal,
right?
Because the contract is the contract; they have to fulfill the terms of the contract. But it just seems to be more trouble than it's worth, and not just because of whatever politically is going on in the region, just because there are other untapped markets that they could be in that they're experimenting with that really, could use that. For example, down in Western Australia for their pay-per-view, I think it's Crown Jewel.
Yes.
They're doing Crown Jewel in Perth, Western Australia. And they're not just doing Crown Jewel. They're doing Raw and SmackDown and the pay-per-view.
Yeah, the whole weekend.
Right. SmackDown was just in Riyadh, not Raw. So it wasn't like they had a week-long celebration before Night of Champions. But they're already advertising for Perth to be the WWE Weekend Takeover. And even within this country, they're starting to do, these weekend takeover events with the NXT Takeover, Great American Bash, and Evolution. They're going to take over Atlanta. I don't know if Raw is going to be in Atlanta the Monday after, but still, it's two big WWE matches. They did in Los Angeles, where they had NXT, and then they had Money in the Bank the same night. So they don't really need to go to Saudi Arabia specifically. They don't really need to go to the Middle East specifically to have these things where they could do it. And we saw what it was in France, and we saw what it is in the UK. They're going back to Australia. Obviously, they could definitely go to Japan if they wanted to. But I think because the Saudi thing takes up so much of their time, it's just kind of like, ugh, let's just get this over with. It's been 7-8 years already. And they're demanding better shows. Like, well, I mean, damn, we gave them a Royal Rumble. Well, shit, we gave them Crown Jewel. I mean, we made up a pay-per-view for them. Well, what else did they want?
Gave them the greatest Royal Rumble.
Right. I mean, like, well, what more could they possibly want? WrestleMania. Okay, let's not be crazy.
Yeah.
But
we're going to have the greatest WrestleMania there, or the
right.
greatest hit to WrestleMania soon enough.
Right. But
Something
that's kind of why this pay-per-view doesn't, even though it is impactful and it is important, because it is one of those things of like, hey, this is why we got here, and they're going to start playing flashbacks from Night of Champions. It never really felt like, as big as it should feel for the pay-per-view that sets up SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And I think that's largely because WWE is just kind of like, shit, let's just get it over with. Let's go over there. We're going to give them 2 shows. All right, fine. And let's just get back. And then they're
flash the fat check, get the show over with, and just kind of, it's like it's King and Queen of the Ring, but it's not even like to elevate a star anymore. It's like,
right.
Yeah, it's very, if you missed this show, you didn't miss out on it. That's it. There's definitely nothing like, oh my God, you got to go back and see this. Like the Punk and Cena match was good. It was fine. There was nothing, I wouldn't say there was anything bad on the show. It was just, it was an afternoon show. It was kind of like, a lot of we talk about, them televised house shows. It was a glitzed up house show, which hell, I kind of like it for an afternoon thing. It was an easy way to kill 3 hours in the middle of a Saturday afternoon. By that same token, though, if you were out doing shit, you didn't miss nothing. It wasn't anything that crazy. So we're on the road to SummerSlam. That's the next big event of the summer for WWE. So looking at the rest of this, we had a street fight between Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez. That was a fun one. That went a good 14 minutes. They gave some time to that. We talked a lot last week about the Karrion Kross Sami Zayn match. Sami Zayn got the win. Lord knows a lot of people are like, oh my God, it should have been Karrion. And we talked last week about, in a lot of ways, it's like do or die for Karrion Kross. I'm sitting here right now and I'm like, that match for me was just there. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't great. It was just there. I think the folks who were into Karrion Kross are still just as into Karrion Kross and trying to make something of that. But at that same point, he didn't do himself any favors. I think in the match. I think it was just fine. It was there. I don't know. Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. This was notable for the U.S. title because now we had the arrival of Hikuleo to join Bloodline 2.0, and I guess he's now going to be going as Tala Tonga, hence the playing on his height, as now he's like as I was saying, they just call him like the Tongan Giant or something. But we had the addition of Hikuleo now to Bloodline 2.0. Solo Sikoa now your new U.S. champion, having beaten Jacob Fatu. And that was, for a Solo Sikoa match, it was fine. It was like, again, perfectly fine. Jacob Fatu has a lot of steam on him right now and clearly has a lot of momentum. So I don't think he's hurt at all by dropping the U.S. title because he's quickly becoming, I think, one of those guys that the title's immaterial. Folks are behind him regardless, and that's a good place to be. So I think he's okay. Is there anything else that jumps out at you on the rest of those matches? Because it's kind of, it's there. It is kind of what it is for me.
I mean, it is there. I think that I did watch the pay-per-view live. I did see snippets of matches that I was interested in. I saw that the messy finish with Cena versus Punk. Cargill versus Asuka was interesting because that was really the only match that had a chance of going a different way. And even then, that chance wasn't very high. Jade, of course, won, as she should have. But it was still kind of like, it would be a bold move of them to put the one, close to 50-50, as we can get and it didn't happen, but it still was kind of like, oh, okay, this is interesting. There's a lot to be said about Jade, and either her style is something that you're going to be into, or not, and that's with anybody. But I think that Jade is getting better, and I think that she's getting to be a better WWE wrestler. Is she Bull Nakano? No. Is she Sarah Del Rey? No. Is she Mickie James? No. But you don't have to be in WWE. You don't have to be, Matt, first, a technical, hold to hold type of a wrestler. Asuka's been doing that for 20-something years. But I do think that that Cargill, as a WWE talent, she's really going into that mold of just being not the best wrestler, but a damn good superhero. And that's what WWE does pretty well when it comes to their characters or their wrestlers that they turn into characters.
All right, you're larger than life,
right?
Things, yeah. That's Jade to a T. So yeah, that's clearly what they're going. Present her as this giant, larger than life figure, and like we've been saying all along, they got Naomi with that briefcase just looming in the background. It's probably going to play out exactly as we're thinking, and it should. The story is so easy to tell.
Mm-hmm.
To have Jade get that title win, take out Tiffany, immediately get cashed in on, and a lot of people are saying that same idea could happen on the men's side, because now we got this whole Cody's going to take on Cena. You got that going on the one side, and they teased this week on Raw the idea of what happens with Punk now? Maybe Punk and Gunther is going to happen on the other side of the coin. Have Punk somehow beat Gunther at SummerSlam, and then immediately have Seth Rollins come out, cash in. That's the one thing. It'd be doing the same story on both sides of the coin. It'd be repetitive, but it's kind of interesting how it would fit them. Like the pieces are there to where it would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
I can see a lot of people not being happy with that if that's the way they go. The Naomi side is where it's much more intriguing, because they've made that much more of a personal, feud there between Naomi and Jade. And Lord knows, Naomi's just fresher in general with her turn and all this. Now they've handled that, so she'll benefit more from it than a CM Punk or a Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I can see that happening. And I'm not even going to say it's bad storytelling. No, I mean, this is kind of like what the story needs, and I'm not really mad at it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of that's where we're at. We'll see. We have a good month till SummerSlam. We have shows between now and then happening. My God, we have Evolution. We got Saturday night's main event. We got NXT. So there's a lot of stuff to happen over the next month before we get to SummerSlam. So, and hell, that's another thing we keep forgetting about. SummerSlam's 2 nights this year. So they got 2 nights to fill in New York. So that's a whole other factor where there's going to be more happening on SummerSlam than there has been in recent years. They have 2 cards to fill out. So between 2 nights, that's gonna be a big story in the next month. It's just who gets booked for SummerSlam and in what roles, because there's more opportunities there than there has been in a long time. All right, well, there we go. Enough of Night of Champions. Like I said, kind of just what it was. Maybe paint by numbers, maybe not, but it's a work in progress at this point. Let's move on to AEW this week, because AEW had the 300th episode of Dynamite on Wednesday night last night, and they are en route to All In Texas next weekend. So they have a lot going on right now over at AEW with this whole, they're trying to fill the stadium. Well, it's not trying to fill it, but fill the area they have. They're around 20,000 seats right now, from what I'm hearing, shy under that. So by the time we get to next week, they should crack the 20K mark for sure. Matter of how far they're going to go past that. They're doing Hangman and oh my God, John Moxley. Lord knows your favorite in Texas Death Match now is the main event. Is the stip they added to that last night. I think I was kind of surprised that they pushed the idea. Like I saw online, they were pushing the idea of Dynamite 300 a lot, but from everything I saw, there wasn't like anything actually done on the show. There was tie-ins with Superman and stuff. They're doing tie-ins with that with the whole Warner Brothers thing. but I don't know. It didn't seem like they did like an extra special show for the 300th episode compared to like, I mean, Lord knows, we said, Raw 1000 and all that, I guess that's also a victim of, they don't have like the history to draw from to where they can pull tons of people out and tons of people they wouldn't be able to draw.
But to be fair though, AEW has been around since 2019.
Right.
And that's 6 years at this point. You can see the math is just oozing out of me. And in that 6 years, 300 episodes, okay, fine. But two of those years were like in the COVID bubble.
Very true.
So like a third of their history isn't really relevant to the rest of their history. So like Dynamite #1, absolutely. We were there. It was a great time. It set the standard for where they were going to go, the first pay-per-views and stuff like that. And then COVID. And then, you pick up in 2023 when they finally get back to, doing things in the way that they're doing it now. And 2019, half of 2020, COVID shuts down all of 2021 into 2022, and they finally pick up 2023, and it's mid 2025 right now. So it doesn't feel like 6 years. It doesn't feel like 300 episodes, because for a third of their existence, they were scraping away at Daly's place in front of the janitor.
Yeah, that I think one thing that's kind of universally true in wrestling, it seems, is no one wants to go back and remember that damn COVID era. That COVID era of wrestling, the Thunderdome, the Performance Center, Daly's place, and half-empty building. Yeah, there's not a lot of stuff that people want to go back and revisit, and that was a significant chunk of time of their history.
But to be honest with you, I think it's, at least for AEW, I think it's absolutely worth going back and remembering. But that's like, so now we have two different things. Do you want to remember the storylines, which were hard to get off the ground, which there was a lot of trial and error, a lot of things they could and couldn't do, or do you want to remember the the business? Because as a business, AEW should be commended for surviving and weathering the storm, being a new business, 18 months into their existence, having the rug pulled out from them, literally fighting the government and the health inspectors and this unseeable virus, in order to put out, to keep people's families, fed. That was an unprecedented time that we haven't seen since the Spanish flu. And I think that is worth celebrating, but that's also something for the textbooks. That doesn't go on the sizzle reel, because there aren't too many storylines that I can remember from the COVID era that are like that much more meaningful. And unfortunately, because of the COVID era, like Hikaru Shida had the women's title for most of that time. But so what? But you can also say the same thing in WWE, where like everybody remembers Drew McIntyre winning the belt at WrestleMania Performance Center.
Right.
No, just me. So it's kind of like, damn. So it is like a really, it feels like a misnomer to say that, like, 300 episodes over the past 6 years, AEW's been going strong, and it's like, well, no, AEW started out strong, got shotgun blasted in the kneecap, and had to learn how to walk again over the course of 2 years, and then started to pick it up, and then on top of that, changing post-COVID and how we watch television. Now, I don't have the information in front of me. I would have to look it up, but I wonder if how many more streaming companies were available at the start of 2023 versus the start of 2020. Because it feels like, well, Netflix, Hulu, Disney, Amazon, and now there's another streaming service damn near every day.
Right.
And obviously that's going to take away from eyes, that's going to take away from TV, and that's going to take away from a lot. So everybody's had to deal with it. But specifically AEW being such a new company, and WWE breathing down their necks with all of their counter programming and poaching and all that stuff, it was like they got it from all sides. The despite
And hell, and even from within, as we well know, like they start tripping over their own feet with their own personnel issues.
well, there is that
that's
too.
By the way, I think it's like hell. Saturday night after Dynamite and airing this Saturday will be the 100th episode of Collision. So Collision's gotten to 100 episodes. Going to be kind of interesting that I'm guessing they're not going to mention why Collision kind of happened in the first place. And like the whole reason we have Collision. Probably won't be a look back at Collision episode 1 on that episode, being the whole show was supposed to be a certain guy's show. So he wouldn't have to be around everybody else. Right.
So that's also a thing too. When you talk about like the history and the timeline of AEW, in this, like, since we're talking about 300 episodes, AEW with Cody and AEW without Cody are not the same company.
No, and Cody and Sammy, the very first match at Dynamite here in DC.
Yeah. So, and going through all of that is a thing. But, and as much as you could argue, well, WWE is doing so much more, they're worldwide. We just talked about Australia. They just came back from the Middle East. I don't know if they're going to be in Berlin again, but they, it seems like they are going to be in the UK. In August, and it's just like, well, sure, that's all great, but AEW isn't doing too much, and it's kind of like, well, oh my God, panic. But it's also, a 6-year-old company with 2 years on the shelf because of COVID, and they've had tremendous growth. Next weekend is All In Texas, and it may be physically their biggest show they've ever done in America. But the biggest show they've ever done was over there at Wembley for All In. And according to WrestleTix on Twitter, they've sold nearly 20,000 tickets. 19,000.
20K there by the time we get to next weekend. Easy.
Yeah. So, they're set up for 23,000 in ticket sales. And they have sold 19,000 of that. So, that's like 90% full. Only less than about 3,500 tickets remain if WrestleTix is to be believed. But the point is that this is a pretty big deal to host a show in a baseball stadium. And the growth that they still consider and are restructuring, and then also, as much as they're having growth, they had to fight through the Warner Brothers Discovery merger.
God, that mess.
Right.
Ongoing.
Right. And then now they're going to have to fight through the Warner Brothers Discovery breakup. So, it was a whole thing that they've had like so many adverse conditions that from outside of the company. And then of course there were some unforced errors as well. And even still, there's some more unforced errors, like the fact that Moxley's still champion. Death Riders has kind of run its course. They need to do something else. You can nitpick the booking, just like you nitpick the booking anywhere else, but AEW is showing tremendous growth. Unfortunately, for the dick measuring contest that is being a wrestling fan, somebody's always going to say, hey, they're doing it bigger and better. Catch up. Well, that's not what it never ever was. If AEW, and they were in Ontario, California last night, about an hour and change outside of Los Angeles, home of the Young Bucks. And I don't know if it was a sellout, but they got over 5,000 seats, 5,000 people in a 7,500 seat arena. That's pretty goddamn good, to me. Well, Raw average is 14,000. Yeah, so what?
Yeah, I mean, that is very much something I think people don't get sometimes, is the idea that, like, they don't need to do what Raw is doing. And honestly, I think it would benefit them to kind of be more open about the idea that we can't do that. We're not them. But we can be a successful number 2, and that's the spot they can be at. Right. The days of we're gonna change the world and all that. It's like they came out of the gate with that, and that was great and all that. And I think now we're at the point where it's like, okay, that ship has sailed. That's done. You can absolutely do things differently. You can actually march to the beat of your own drum. You can be your own thing. But at this point, so yeah, a successful number 2 is what to aim for.
And honestly,
and that's all they got to be is a successful number 2.
Don't even number it. I mean, they just have to be a successful AEW, just like MLW has to be a successful MLW, just like NWA has to be a successful NWA. And success obviously does not mean the same thing for everyone. It's not a flat thing that you can say that has to be what success is or else. The long and short of it is that, obviously we don't have access to their financials or anything like that, but just on the eyeball test, 300 episodes is something to be commended. It will be interesting in what they do for 500, but considering that, and 100 episodes for Collision, Rampage being buried in the bottom of the well next to AEW Dark, notwithstanding, but these are some of the changes that had to be made for growth. AEW needed a viable number 2 show. Rampage was not it. And they finally got Warner Brothers to cough up television time for that. Hell, moving to TBS when their whole thing was, their entire brand was built on the fact that wrestling is coming to Turner for the first time in 20 years.
Right,
25 years. Oh, yeah, but so is the NBA. Oh, well, so is the NHL. And so is baseball and March Madness.
NASCAR.
Right. So, It's a Wonderful Life and the Christmas Story marathon. They better not be on a Wednesday. Oh, well, shit. So they've gone through it. And I think it is something to be commended for 300 episodes of Dynamite, 100 episodes of Collision somehow, because, got to remember, even though that they've been bumping up Collision more, Collision used to just be, Saturdays from like 8 to 10.
Yeah,
which
it's all over the dial now, which night it's on.
Right. So, but having it placed on HBO Max helps, which was not a thing that was probable a couple years ago. So, give them credit. Give them credit for what it's due. Growth is still growth, and they are still growing, and good on them for that.
There we go. All right, let's go to our mid-show break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some rumors swirling around Britt Baker, and yes, once again, we are going to talk the Street Fighter movie, because wrestling and this Street Fighter movie are ending up apparently going hand in hand together. It's getting crazier by the week, so some other stuff like that in our second half. Stay with us, folks. Your Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. We'll be back right after this.
Looking to get your brand in front of people who eat, sleep, and breathe entertainment? Big Gold Belt Media is the place to be. We're all about reporting on movies, TV shows, conventions, and everything in between. And we want your brand to be a part of the action. Partnering with us means your sponsorships get featured right in the midst of our content. Plus, we're going to hype you up on all of our social media, connecting you with an audience that loves discovering new things from trusted voices in entertainment. We're easy to find. Just look for us on Big Gold Belt on all your social media platforms. Don't wait, reach out today, and let's start building something amazing together. Your spotlight is waiting here at Big Gold Belt Media, biggoldbelt.com.
Thanks for being with us here tonight, folks, on your Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. We are streaming live each and every week, Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern. And let's see here, as we go into the second half of the show, let's get into some rumors. Because there's some interesting rumors going around this week. Going with one dentist. We've talked about the dentist a lot over the years on this show. Britt Baker. Rumors swirling depending on, what flavor of dirt sheet you prefer. That she may be looking to get out of her AEW deal. And Lord knows, I guess, here's the thing that makes this interesting to me. Is, well, okay, if there's any truth to that, or even if there's not truth to that, one thing is true. She has not been seen for a very long time. She has definitely been missing in action for a while. So regardless of whether there's anything to this or not, she definitely hadn't been on TV. And hell, we're about to have a big stadium show. So it's like, okay, what's going on here? I don't know where to start with this. I've never been a big fan. I've always been kind of like, she's there. She is what she is. I've never been as impressed as a lot of people. So I'm kind of like, okay, that's fine. I was like, whatever. I'm definitely not really looking for a lot of people are like, oh, she's gonna follow Mariah May to NXT, and I'm not like, me personally, I'm like, I hope not. I'm not interested in seeing that in 2025. But that's me. I'm just speaking for myself. What are you thinking on this? I think the last time she was seen, the most interesting part of that was how her segment in the ring got very off the rails that time. The whole no one cares about what you're doing out here and all this. So I don't know. Britt Baker in 2025. Do you think there's any smoke to this fight?
Well, she has been injured. I don't know. And that's also a thing too, like as happy as I am for AEW's 300th episode, they still have some internal issues that have plagued the company for years and they haven't really been addressed. How many people are sitting on the shelf, waiting to get something going, and creative just has nothing for them? It happened to Rusev. It happened to Ricky Starks. It happened to it's happening to Darby Allin. I still don't know where Scorpio Sky is. When his
apparently he shows up on Collision 100 for the first time in ages.
Yeah, thank God. But I mean, I didn't know.
It took years.
Yeah, like years. Did ICE get him? Like who knows? Like somebody called the consulate because where is Scorpio Sky? And Britt Baker, you could argue, is kind of in the same vein. Is she, healthy enough? Let's assume that all that's good, all that's clear. Do they have anything for her? The big thing has been the 800-pound gorilla that is Monet and the 800-pound gorilla that is Toni Storm. Mm-hmm. And those two entities take up so much of AEW's women's wrestling landscape that it's just like, is there room for Britt Baker? Now, part of that is because she's been gone for so long and usurped by Mariah May, by Mercedes Moné, by Willow Nightingale, God damn it, in Willow we trust, and by Toni Storm, Mina Shirakawa added to that list, and then you're seeing some, the rumor is some more Japanese stars are coming over. DDT is doing a show in Dallas the weekend of All In. Don't know how many of those folks are going to make it onto the AEW show because Lord knows AEW loves a battle royal. They love a battle royal for no reason.
Women's casino gauntlet's happening.
Yeah,
that's it.
So the point is that if they get into Britt Baker, then what? And to be honest with you, and where's Hikaru Shida? Is she around? I know that she's in Japan, but damn, she's another one that really could be inserted somewhere back into the fold, but that's not really the case. So yeah, as far as Britt Baker goes, could she leave? Yeah, she could, because I'm not necessarily, nobody's really begging for her to come back for reasons mentioned, but it's also like, if she leaves, will anybody miss her? And that's kind of like, that's the interesting thing. Like, I think at this point, especially if she wanted to retire, because that's why I think that she would want to leave, because, of the fact that, she
has no escape plan. She has a full-time dental practice is waiting for her.
Right.
It's right there.
So right there.
It's not one of these deals where it's like, I got to figure out what I'm going to do after wrestling. It's like, no, you have a plan. You have a ready-made deal. So go be a dentist full-time, please. I applaud you. I wish more people in wrestling had that escape plan at the ready to go for their post-wrestling time. So, hey, I'm all for it. Full-time dentistry. Sounds like a great, easy life. And I think that for what her work has been in AEW, like her or not, if she were to have like one short-ish promo to say like, hey, this is me on my way out, and it's only going to be in the next few weeks, but y'all gonna miss me when I'm gone, then I'm okay with a short program to give her ability to say goodbye and send her off. But as far as like the leaving and go where? TNA? WWE? I don't see anybody. Literally anybody. I don't see how she's in demand. Yeah, I mean, everywhere is like there are crowded scenes everywhere. I mean, NXT, you guys had Mariah May show up, and Mariah May is just barely getting rolling there to where she's not even like, she ain't even the title picture yet. So it's like the NXT scene is crowded as can be.
But even if it's crowded, I don't think that she's good enough to just come in there and demand, a spot anywhere. Britt Baker is, who she is, and that'd be a big deal for a little bit, but realistically, I just don't see it where you go, oh yeah, she needs to hurry up and leave AEW because this place is going to be so much better for her. I think that given who she is and her and thanks for her contribution to AEW and the history of AEW, since we talked about that a little bit, I think there are a few women. Shit, there's a few wrestlers in AEW, male or female, where you go, thanks, but if you want to retire, cool, don't make us push you out the door.
Yeah. At some point, the run is what the run is. Okay, you've had your run, right. You made your mark, and it's time to wrap it up and move on. And now, back in the day, that's why the territory system worked so great, because you could show up somewhere, you do your month or a couple months, do a year, and then it was time to move on. You show up somewhere else, cycle starts all over again, and you kept bouncing around and doing your appearances. So I think there wouldn't be anything wrong with that. It would be like, okay, you had your AEW run. This is what it is. You made your mark. You have some significant matches there. You held the title. Now go be a dentist. I think it's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
And I know this is going to be this is going to annoy some folks, but I think that Britt Baker is kind of in that Bella Twin stage of her career where it's just like, we recognize what you've done. We don't need you to do anything else. Thanks. And if there's something up in the future that we can bring you back for, then maybe. But realistically, it's okay if you want to go.
That might be That might be what we'll see what happens here. There's definitely rumors going back. There's nothing to the story. There is something to the story. So who knows? We'll see how it plays out over the next couple of weeks. Lots of talk that there's still time left on her contract. So
which is very different than how I feel about Darby Allin. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, okay, well, where is Darby Allin? Is he
climbed down Everest? Supposedly going to be on Shark Week stuff, and just kind of. And it's been a minute.
It's been a minute. So okay, you did that. You climbed Everest. You did your kick flips off the mountain. You got your foot broken. Trying to climb it the first time. You got hit by a bus and everything like that too. When are we going to see you again? Are you still in it for at least a short term?
Yeah.
Which is very different than, okay, you can go.
All right. Let's switch gears. Let's get into it, because Lord knows we touched on this last week, and it's just growing. And actually, is there anything else wrestling you want to talk before we get into the movies and wrestling?
Yes. Okay. So
bring that on first, so we'll keep this organized.
So then I guess the real very long and short of the question is WWE actually counter programming AEW, or but if so, why? What's in it for WWE to counter program AEW when I think that both of them, especially after the post Netflix move and the AEW kind of finding their getting back on track with storytelling and fans and ratings and stuff like that, we can see that they are in two different lanes, arguably not even on the same highway, but definitely two different lanes. We know that they can exist together in the same space, theoretically. What's in it for WWE to actively counter-program AEW? Or are these instances where, because if you don't know, All In Texas is going to happen, next Saturday afternoon. Mm-hmm. And then an hour later, Great American Bash Takeover is going to happen in Atlanta, part of Evolution Weekend.
Mm-hmm. And then Saturday night's main event that night with the Goldberg retirement.
Right.
And Evolution the next day. So and then Atlanta versus Arlington, Texas, all the same weekend.
So why does it? I mean, it obviously feels like this is another instance where they're counter programming AEW, and it just at this point, why? Like, what's in it for them?
I think it's simply this. It's not so much a matter of why, it's a matter of just why not. They can afford to do it. So it's like, I think a lot of people are saying, oh, it's petty. It's them just trying to mess with them. I think it's more just a case of they're in a position where they can afford to do it. So those Saturday night's main events are dictated by NBC. So they're throwing that on that Saturday night. No big deal. It's a 2-hour show. No big deal there. The NXT that afternoon and then Evolution the next day, that's just streaming on Netflix. So it's not, you got to remember, their version of the business now isn't pay-per-view. They're not trying to sell you on pay-per-views. They're just giving you a show on Netflix or on Peacock or whatever. It's part of the streaming package. And I'm sure those streamers are just like, oh, you want to do another show? Cool. We got no problem with that. We'll throw it up on the feed as long as it's not competing with like another major sporting event we're showing. I'm sure Netflix and Peacock are thrilled to have another little live event, especially in the middle of the afternoon, like that Great American Bash will be. So I think WWE is in a position where as long as they are selling tickets to these shows and they're making money, then they're like, why not make things a little bit more difficult for AEW? It's no skin off our back. Now, if the shows weren't selling, if the shows were bombing, then they'd stop really damn quick. But if it's just a case of, hell, we can throw some extra roadblocks in front of them, why not do it? And you can call that petty, but at the same time, it's like, hell, if they're making money doing it, it's essentially, to me, it's like, it's a no-lose situation for them. They're just putting on a show. It's another streaming event. They're not trying to sell pay-per-views. It's Saturday night's main event, whatever. It's like, you know, we haven't talked about Goldberg and Gunther really, but I'm like, oh, a lot of people have a problem with that match. I don't, because I'm like, hell, it's a free match on NBC. It's a perfect utilization of Goldberg where it's like, throw his retirement match on free television as a nostalgia thing. They ain't even asking you to pay for that one. So I think it's a situation where they could easily do some shows, and if it siphons off some viewers from AEW, it does. But at the same time, All In is their WrestleMania, especially being in that damn stadium. So if you are an AEW fan, I am sure there is nothing WWE is going to do to stop you from watching that show. So no harm, no foul in that respect. It is what it is. There's two shows happening at the same time. Now, if they really wanted to mess with them, they wouldn't be running Atlanta. They'd be running somewhere else in Texas. So they could up the ante a lot more on this if they really wanted to. One's in Atlanta, one's in Texas. It is what it is. So
good point.
That's my thought.
No, I mean, good. Absolutely good point. Also about Atlanta, if you're going to be in Atlanta for Evolution, Great American Bash weekend, they're having an Evolution store. WWE is at the center, 190 Marietta Street in Northwest in downtown Atlanta. It's going to be open from 10 to 7, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., 9 a.m. to 11 p.m., Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you're down in downtown, basically, for any of the WWE shows, then you can pick you up some merch at the big Evolution store for WWE. So that's another one of those things where it's just like part of the weekend. And they also have like photo opportunities and stuff like that. So it's not like the access that they would have for SummerSlam and WrestleMania, but still it is kind of like
a scaled down version.
Yeah. An extra, like, pleat in the cape of that weekend for WWE. So good on them. Okay.
Wait, one more thought on that real quick. And to be clear, since I was making them say, WWE's doing this, they have no skin in the game to lose off that or whatever. To be fair now, AEW can do the same thing. AEW could absolutely counter-program SummerSlam if they wanted, or some sort like that. So the street goes both ways. My thinking is like, it's fair game either way. If these companies want to run against each other and run stuff the same weekend, go for it. If it happens, however it plays out, that's on you. So that's my thought. If AEW wants to counter-program SummerSlam, counter-program Survivor Series or something, hey, you know what dates they're running, what cities. So it does not have to be a WWE versus AEW thing in the respect that it's always WWE counter-program. It can go both ways. So
that is true. That's true. Yeah. And I wonder if that is a case where we start to see, because of the timeline of how this happened, AEW announced when their show was going to be. And then WWE announced that they were going to do Great American Bash. And then AEW moved their show up. And then WWE announced 2 more events that happened that weekend. So I wonder if that is the case where AEW is like, all right, well, Turnabout is fair play. you're going to do something SummerSlam weekend. We know what SummerSlam is going to be. We know it's going to be in New York for 2 nights this year. Well, maybe we do something in Philly for 2 nights this year. You know, that's
absolutely. Fair is fair.
Fair is fair.
Hey, it is what it is. All right, let's switch it up. Let's go. We finished the show with this last week, and I didn't think we'd be coming back to it so soon. But damn it, last week we had Roman Reigns announced as Akuma in the Street Fighter movie, and then we had rumors in the middle of the week about Cody, and I guess now it's confirmed. It's a happening. Cody Rhodes is also going to be in the Street Fighter movie.
Why?
As Guile. Which I'm sitting here and I'm just, okay, I can kind of see it. I can see what they're going for. And I am just scared to death they are going to retcon Cody's damn neck tattoo on the Guile in some way and make that a thing. And
they got merch to sell.
Well, yeah, if Damian was here tonight, he was already talking about, oh, that's easy DLC for the video game. And yeah, I can see it. You have your Cody version of Guile with the neck tattoo and all that. But we got Cody Rhodes. And we got Roman Reigns in the Street Fighter movie. It is very much becoming a wrestling thing. We talked about this we mentioned this before it went on the air. I'll throw this at you. Is this becoming like stunt casting between this and 50 Cent's going to be Balrog and all this? And
I mean, it definitely kind of feels that way. But then, of course, now the question is, what, and this is I think we actually asked this last week. What is this movie going to be? Are they going to take it seriously and give them, like real jobs and a real like human storyline, like the original Street Fighter movie from like 91, or is this just going to be completely over the top live action anime? And I think it's going to be worse than that. For fans of Dragon Ball Evolution,
Damien says it's going to be a train wreck.
For fans of Dragon Ball Evolution, get ready because the Street Fighter version of that is on its way. And it seems like a mess and a half. But then again, we don't really know what the story is. And it could be purposely goofy video game CGI fest where, Roman Reigns is actually doing some Akuma things, just which seems ridiculous in my head. But I really hope it's campy. I really, really do hope it's campy in the same vein as the original Mortal Kombat movie.
Mm-hmm.
And if they give me that, then I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, I don't think you can do a Street Fighter movie and take it that damn seriously. It's got to have some camp to it. It's got to have some fun to it. And with that vein, it can also still have some serious to it and make the fight scenes, over the top,
right.
Faithful to Street Fighter, but
that's also a thing too. Like, is this going to be Enter the Dragon with Street Fighter characters, and they just happen to be there at the same place and same time, and then all of a sudden the tournament breaks out? And then of course, who's the big bad guy? We know who the principal characters are, but they haven't mentioned Bison. They haven't mentioned
no Zangief yet. That's what I'm waiting on.
Yeah. I mean, and how is it not Miro? But there's so there's still some things to uncover. But it's just kind of like, good Lord, what the hell is this movie? What era of Street Fighter will this thing take place in? And even if it does, I don't know which is a goofier cast than Jason Momoa as Blanca or Roman Reigns as Akuma. I don't know which pisses me off more. All
right, Davian's getting in. My money's that it's going to be the Dead or Alive game, or even Tekken.
Oh God.
So what wrestler is going to be Zangief or Cammy? Hey, if we're just thinking out loud here, let's go back to the first one. Let's bring back Kylie Minogue as Cammy. Let's do the callback.
Okay. I mean, I don't see why not. I was going to say Becky Lynch, but okay.
Oh, okay. We're another wrestling tie and make it 3.
Yeah.
We already have 2.
I mean, sure.
We have a Bison, Damian saying. So I don't know. I'm at the point where the casting is so out there that I think it could go either way, good or bad. I'm at the point now that I need to hear plot points. I need to hear kind of what they're trying to do with this before I can invest anymore, because it's okay, a little bit of stunt casting as far as who you're pulling in here, but what are you gonna do with it? That's I think that's the big question.
Yeah, and that's also like kind of a thing too. Is just like Borderlands. And I'm not a fan of the game.
Geez, I forgot about the Borderlands movie. Oh no.
Borderlands came out last year, and I've never played the game, but I know that it's a big deal for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And I saw the movie and said, "Yeah, this is objectively bad. This is nowhere in the realm of good."
I forgot about it.
It's just not a good movie. It's not fun. Yeah. None of the shit makes sense. This is dumb. And then looking at reviews of the original games, a lot of what is enticing about the original games is its story. This is a story that if you're willing to get into it, you will probably really like it. Street Fighter really doesn't have that story that's super involved and in depth. So then, like, how are they going to manufacture one without it being with it being true to whatever limited lore there is in the game? So I think that's going to be the biggest test, is like reading the script and going, okay, this has some legs. So that's really, that's really is going to have to be what it's going to be. I don't even know where they begin, and that's also a thing too. We're not just seeing like the original 8 or 12 Street Fighter characters. We are seeing characters from other games. So
they're doing the expanded, like they're looking at it as like, oh yeah, we have 6 Street Fighter games, so we're pulling from all over.
Right, but even still, like Dan Hibiki wasn't originally in Street Fighter.
They're not sticking to the core original crew. Yeah, right. They're doing the ones from the games for sure.
Right. So, and then there's also some things too. It's just like it's easy to just go, this seems stupid, and it's largely because it does seem stupid, but it is kind of like, what is this thing going to be? But then again, the Minecraft movie, it happened, and for people that are into Minecraft, that didn't turn out terrible.
A rousing success as far as like money goes. There's box office. So, hey, it's like where people are into that, they ate it up. They did balance that thing of like, fan service and it ain't for an old guy like me, but hey, the kids. Yeah.
Now, I've never played Minecraft, so I have no idea what the hell is going on. And I didn't see the movie either. However, this movie's not for me. But as a person that likes Street Fighter, that has been playing Street Fighter for 30 years, it's kind of like, you guys have already kind of fucked this up once, and we gave you a pass because, time heals all wounds. And now it's just like, okay, we're going to have to figure this out. So
we'll see. This will definitely be a topic we're revisiting. Now we're definitely at the point of like, okay, we're casting. We need plot points. What is the storyline of the Street Fighter movie?
Yeah, as soon as they start shooting, then we're definitely going to, be able to go from there and see where things, as things take shape.
There you go. All right, we're going into a holiday weekend, so we're going to wrap this thing up and call it a night here, folks. Thanks for being with us. Like I said at the beginning, every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, your Big Gold Belt Wrestling podcast is streaming live right here on YouTube, on Twitch, over on X. We're on all 3 platforms streaming live. After the fact, if you're looking to check out the stream, it lives on YouTube, so we got you covered there if you came in late. The archives live on YouTube on the Big Gold Belt Media channel. We also have the podcast version if you're into audio on all your favorite podcast platforms. So we got you with that too. Audio and video waiting for you. As always, on social media, you can find us at Big Gold Belt, whether we're talking Instagram or X or Blue Sky, all those places. At Big Gold Belt is where you can find us at social media. And of course, on the web, it's biggoldbelt.com, the home of Big Gold Belt media, wrestling, movies, comics, and more. It's a holiday weekend. A lot of people go to the movies. I know that Jurassic Park dropped, and I have not been hearing good things. But otherwise, what else movie-wise going on, Crab?
So, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World Evolution is the big movie for this weekend. F1 with Brad Pitt is still out there if you haven't seen that yet. So that's a little bit something for everybody. And then, of course, for the kids, Elio, which is not good, but it's a good way to kill an hour and a half. How to Train Your Dragon still out there for the kids as well. The movie I'm looking forward to most this weekend is called Malice. It is a Chinese movie that came out a little bit earlier this year, but it's actually releasing this weekend in the U.S. And it's basically a murder mystery where this old woman is in a nursing home, and all signs point to her caretaker murdering her, and her family wants results. But of course, bureaucracy, cover-ups from the nursing home, and other factors has turned this thing from what should be, an easy to solve case to, the system versus, the elderly and the most vulnerable. So it's an interesting little suspense, murder mystery thriller, and definitely plan on seeing that this weekend. And I do plan on seeing Jurassic World this weekend as well.
All right. There you go, folks. If you are in the States like we are, I hope you have a good holiday weekend. We will be back next Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, with a ton to talk about. As we mentioned, a packed weekend going on next week. Hell, I could go ahead and put down the description right now for next weekend, because we'll be talking All In. We'll be talking Saturday night's main event. We'll be talking Evolution. We'll be talking NXT Great American Bash. That will pretty much be the entire show next week. So a packed show next Thursday. We hope you're here for it with us next Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Until then, subscribe, hit that like button, all that good stuff, and we will see you then. Talk to you later. Stay safe. Enjoy the holidays. We'll see you next Thursday.
All I really need, that big old bell.